right now we will have Miss. One of the most interesting topics again. I have kind of personally been looking forward to listen to. It's called Open Banking and Fintech, a Predefined Couple. Well, I would like to get a very good understanding of how this is a predefined couple. I would like to invite on stage Miss Rachel Adeshina, Country Head, Technology and Services, First Bank Nigeria, that's FBN Ghana. Rachel, may I please request you to join and go live now, please? Thank you.
Hello again, everyone. We are just waiting on one of the speakers, Rachel, to join. In the meantime, I think it would be my pleasure to continue to share a few of the things that I have picked up along the way. I have like a whole book with notes. Oh, I see that she's on. So I'll just share one really quick thing. And we lost Robert Jatto from KPMG halfway through his presentation, but he did speak about winning the battle with customer experience. And if you'll remember, there were 6 pillars he touched on: personalization, resolution, integrity, expectations, time and effort, and empathy. And so my advice to the group today, really list those 6 points and check to see how your business is delivering on each of those points. So again, personalization, how are you personalizing the experience for your customer? Resolution, how are you solving their complaints, their issues? Integrity, how are you keeping your promises? Expectations, how are you managing their expectations? Time and effort, what are you requiring of them? And empathy, how are you responding to their needs? So that is your homework starting tomorrow. I think Rachel is ready to go because I see her slides up. So Rachel, if you could unmute yourself and confirm, that would be very helpful. And then I'll turn it over to you. So Rachel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me very well, Gillian?
I can hear you and I can see your slides. So Rachel is a country head of technology and services for FBN Bank Ghana. And as you can see from her slides, she'll be talking about open banking and fintech and how those two become a predefined couple. So Rachel, I'm turning it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gillian, and thank you all attendees. Thank you for hanging in there. All right, so I'll be talking on a topic that between myself and Mohammed, we had a good laugh and we wanted to see what we could do with this topic. It's basically to look at the romance between the concept that we know as open banking and fintech. So in the next 15 minutes, I'll be talking about the relevance of fintech in the open banking concept. So like most speakers have said today, banking as we know it have been disrupted. In the last few years, there has been a lot of changes. And what we have today is that the competitive landscape has fundamentally shifted. And the major factor for this is the changes in customers' expectations. Customers are demanding for more. We have a growing population of consumers who are used to the ease with which they get things on Facebook, on the convenience that they get ordering things from Amazon. And so there is a demand on financial institutions to provide services with this simplicity and with this with the ease with which they get on these other platforms. And so what we have today is that the competitive landscape that we had in 5 years ago, 6 years ago, have now expanded to include new players. So we have our incumbents, that is traditional banks as we know it. My bank is one of them. And what we have is that these incumbents are heavily investing in digital capabilities in order to meet this the changing customer needs. And then we have digital banks who came to the market with just the cost advantage and spending a lot on customization to see how they can deliver personalized services. Then we have fintechs. Typically, when they first got in, they were entering with just one solution focus, but now they are also diversifying into other areas. We'll see more of it later on. And then we have non-financial companies who were retail companies before, but now they too have moved into the payment space. And we have big tech companies, people like Facebook, like Amazon, with Apple, coming with payment services. All of these people are now contenders in the banking space. And we were told by people that have been watching things that this is just the first wave of disruption, that the banking space is going to see more disruption as time goes on. And what we have also seen is that regulators are standing up and they are coming up with policies and directives that is changing the way players play in this space. We've seen a number of regulatory directives from Payment Service Directive 2, the second one, and we've seen the introduction of open banking, which is really the subject matter of my presentation this afternoon. What we've seen is that pundits are predicting that open banking is going to lead to the second wave of disruption, and that by the time the disruption is complete, banking will have changed from what we previously know. And so what is open banking? Open banking is what, there have been a lot of definitions by different people, but what we know is that it is going to be, open banking will be, just a minute. Open banking will be that platform where financial institutions and third parties can collaborate to improve customer experience. And what we have been told is that open banking will give all players the opportunity to come together and to deliver on this heightened user experience. So basically, we're saying it will give us the ability, it will give banking customers the ability to authorize third parties to access their bank account data, to either collect account information or to initiate payments. And what this means is that we're going to have more players, even more than the people that we currently know. The models are still emerging, and there's no telling what will eventually come out. But we've seen some trends, we've seen some data, we've seen some players. And what it means is that at the end of the day, the customer, just like one of the speakers said, will be at the center, and all of us will be scrambling to meet the needs of the customer. So two things are driving this open banking concept. One is customer needs. The customer that is telling us, this is now the way I want to be served. The customer is not the one making demands on the players. And then is the rise of fintechs. So the slide that you see on the screen tells us what the current service landscape look like. We have some services that have been provided by banks today. And but if you look at the customer journey and the entire value chain, there is more to this than what banks are delivering today. And so there's going to be focus on the other things that our customers are involved in. Customers that want to be entertained, customers that want to sit in their office and have access to markets. And so all players in the financial space will need to be involved in this value chain. And you see the things in brown that are services that are currently in control of third parties. What open banking will do, we take away all the barriers. And what you will see will be that all of these services will be what all players will seek to provide to the customers. For fintechs, the last 3-4 years, I've seen the rise of fintechs globally. And so what we've seen is that these are startups that are using technology to deliver financial services to customers. And what we've seen is that globally there has been a steady increase of fintech adoption. And fintechs are playing in almost all the spaces that traditional banks have been playing in, things that have traditionally been the domain of banks. are now being accessed by fintechs. So we've seen them move. Initially, there was a concentration in payments, but over the years, we've seen them moving into other areas. And then what we've seen is that they've brought disruption to the ecosystem. And so there is more collaboration that we see. There is more propositions that are being put on the table. And what we've seen is that they've gained the regulatory support. And so in the next slide, this slide, I will talk about the success factors. And what we've seen is that aside from the demand from consumers, we've seen a flurry of regulations across the world that has shaped the fintech activities. From PSD2 in Europe to the payment service regulation that we have in Ghana, there has been quite a number of things that has made fintechs to be very, very relevant. And what they've done is that they've made services to be closer to the people. They've made services sometimes to be cheaper for the consumers. And they've partnered with regulators and with players to drive the financial inclusion agenda. And this has made them to become the bride of the industry. And so, if you then look at the Ghana market specifically, you will see that the things that we have in the market has made the Ghana market to be appealing to fintechs. We have an annual growth rate that is on upward trend. It's been growing and continues to grow year on year. Our annual population rate is also growing, meaning that we have a large base that people can play with. And then we found out that we have a unique mobile subscription, which we have a huge population that have smartphones with them, smartphone devices. These are some of the factors that have made our market to be interesting to fintechs and to other players. And in addition to that, you find out that we have the fastest growing mobile money market in Africa. And the telcos have opened up their platforms, and we have a lot of fintech playing in that space. We also have some specific regulations that has made entry attractive. There's the 2018 in particular is a good year for fintechs in Ghana because we had adoption of some of the global regulations that make fintech a very attractive proposition. So we also have some changes in the local market that makes fintech an attractive thing for us in Ghana. So this is what you see in the Ghana fintech landscape. This is just a sample of what we have. We have quite a number of fintechs in the payment space. And then we have in remittances, we also have quite a number of fintechs playing in that area. Then we see a lot of aggregators, Optel, eTransact. We see quite a number of activities in that space as well. And there are some that are focused on lending. There are some that are focused on short-term financing. We have some who are playing in the space of savings, short-term savings, and they've made quite an inroad in that space. And then we have some that are playing in insurance business and cryptocurrency. Now, for open banking, we've observed that the party is going to become merrier because we've gotten indication that even the big techs are going to play. Earlier on in the year, we heard about the Libra project, a consortium of parties coming together to do payment, and is a blockchain-based solution. They've gone quiet, but we suspect that they are going to rear their hand again, and there is nothing stopping other big techs from wanting to play in that space. And when these people come on the stage, they have a large captive user base that they can leverage on, and they have low online acquisition costs because they already have quite a large following. So when these people come on, it means that open banking is going to become very, very active. But does this mean that with the entrance of the big techs, that revenue will be at risk? That is a question. But some says yes, that financial institutions should feel threatened, and that is if they choose to remain the way they are. But they can also look at opportunities that open banking present. Somebody predicted that by year 2025, about 1/3 of revenues today will be managed through new disruptive business models. What does that mean? It means that in year 2025, all the transactions that we see going on will still happen, but not necessarily through the same channels that we see them today. So those transactions will happen, but they will not be delivered through different channels. And so for the people that want to be still relevant, it is to look at what those new disruptive business models will be. Payment will still happen, but people are predicting that there will be more of wallet-driven payment channels. There will still be wealth asset and management. There will still be personal lending. There will still be all these activities, but they will be driven through different channels. So what are those channels? Before I look at it, is to take a look at our profile, the Ghana market. Now, when you look at this consumer profile, sorry, this slide is a bit dated. I pick it up from the Financial Inclusion Org. This is for Ghana, but this is figured as at 2015. I'm sure that this has changed, but the numbers, I think, still speak to what we're discussing about, which is basically saying that we have a young population in Ghana, and 3/4 of those adults live above the poverty line, meaning that these are people that are able to afford financial services. And Ghana is one of those lucky countries where they have the necessary enablers in terms of regulatory policies that will allow financial services to thrive. So this means that the opportunity is there in the market, and is now for all players, financial institutions, fintechs alike, to look at what these new disruptive business models are likely to be. And what we see here, this is a slide, by the way, from EY that suggests that, look, the partnership is going to be forced upon us. So the earlier we start looking for the partnerships ourselves, the better. And that is going to be driven by the industries. People are going to come together and say, let's collaborate. And we're going to look at what we can do. What do you have to bring to the table? What do I have to bring to the table? And when we all come together, then we can look at how best to serve our consumers. And that this will be what open banking is going to be all about. It's going to be an emergence of platform-based business models. And institutions will be challenged to come up with platforms that attract innovation from different players. And we will be leveraging on different technologies to make sure that we provide that innovative platform. And so as a bank, I will be tasked with the responsibility of making sure that my platform is robust enough and innovative enough to become a magnet to fintechs and other third parties that may want to access the data and the services that the bank have. And so what this means is that at the end of the day, collaboration is what is required, and it will be the primary driver of disruption that we'll see in the financial space in the coming years. And already some models have been suggested, and some banks have started deciding which position to take, and investments are ongoing as I speak. Some have decided that, look, we'll rather build a separate digital bank that is nimble and agile enough to be able to deliver services at the speed of light, at the speed at which customers need it. Some says, no, we'll be the digital capability center, where we just empower internal developers and have an innovation center that is able to deliver on things that consumers require. 48% people say, look, we need to go after non-bank and non-bank third parties and make sure that we have access to the services that they are able to deliver. Some says we will just become a venture capitalist. 58% people say maybe that we'll look for the promising fintechs and invest in them and partner with them and have exclusive right to the services that they offer. Some states they will start accelerator program and make sure that they turn the organization around. 81% says no, is to go after fintechs because they have the structures, they have the ideas, and they have the size that makes innovation faster and quicker. And so from what you see, whether it's the people that want to build separate digital bank or build accelerator program, every single model that I see requires some kind of partnership with fintechs. So this means that fintech is very, very relevant in the open banking, and they are going to play a very dominant role in how we can drive open banking when eventually the regulations come to our space. Now, so what's already there are some kind of partnerships that we see that are ongoing. In the payment space, we have about 41% of collaboration that are being done between banks and fintechs, you know. But as you go around the pie, you find that there are more opportunities for players to collaborate in lending, in customer services, in operations, in risk, in savings and investment. So it means that the romance between players in the industry are going to continue, and fintechs will play a very dominant role in that. So going back to the topic, which is do we see open banking and what's it called, fintech as a predefined couple? Yes, open banking will happen. The ball is going to happen. In some climes, I mean, the regulations are already out. In our space, in the region, we see that some countries are already working towards rolling out the regulation. So sooner than later, it's going to come upon us. But as it comes and as we prepare for it, collaboration is the way forward. And collaboration with fintechs is what will help us deliver on the open banking and phenomenon. So that is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel. Well, open banking and fintech, a predefined couple, most definitely. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the session, I wanted to hear what it was. And like the previous topic by Mr. Bolahan Josh was also about winning through collaboration. So I have now come to an understanding collaboration is the key. And that's why you see all these logos behind me. With collaboration is when we succeed together.